The same harvesting machine can fail its users 3 ways: owner, funded breakdown, subscription renewal pressure, or stewardship that replaces it too slowly. Every arrangement keeps capability available until its own weak point arrives. Upkeep cost disappears from none of them. Only its location changes. Ownership concentrates upkeep on the holder, subscription trades that burden for switching exposure, and stewardship spreads it while making renewal a slower collective decision. Consider a bounded farm cooperative whose members all need one specialist harvesting machine during the same 3-week window. The machine requires specialist servicing between seasons, and the members can buy it, subscribe with service included, or place it in a maintenance trust. Under outright ownership, members fund purchase and servicing themselves. If the machine fails inside the harvest window, their own reserve and repair access carry the loss. Under subscription, the provider funds servicing and sends specialists. At renewal, members still depend on continued access, while changing suppliers would disrupt their fitted workflow. Under stewardship, member dues fund a shared maintenance body. Servicing is prepared collectively, but replacing a still working machine requires agreement across users. All 3 machines can complete the harvest. The owner risks breakdown, the subscriber risks renewal leverage, and the trust risks delayed replacement. To compare them, track 4 pressures in sequence: who retires the machine, who funds purchase and upkeep, who controls continuation, and who captures longer service life. Ownership joins control and responsibility in one holder. That holder chooses maintenance, carries downtime, decides retirement, and retains value when the machine changes hands. That unity makes decisions direct, but funding arrives in lumps. The holder must maintain both the productive asset and enough reserve capacity when seasonal trouble arrives. Retirement authority also stays with the owner over time. That permits timely replacement when resources exist, but continued operation when replacement funding remains unavailable. Ownership's strength and weakness come from the same fact. Control stays with the user. The consequences arrive there too directly when upkeep capacity proves inadequate. Subscription separates use from ownership across subscribers. A provider supplies the machine, maintains specialist capability, and recovers those continuing costs through repeated access payments. During each renewal, the provider can combine maintenance across many users and replace equipment within its fleet. The subscriber receives capability, but surrenders direct retirement authority. That transfer can smooth the user's repair burden over time. It also makes continued operation depend on the provider's service capacity and willingness to renew. If the farm has adapted attachments, storage, and training around that service after commitment, switching requires more than returning one machine. The surrounding workflow must change too. Subscription therefore converts one exposure into another at renewal. The user gives up direct breakdown risk, then faces the price and availability of continued access. Durability may still be attractive to the provider because it owns the machine across users and seasons. Longer life can reduce replacement across repeated deployment. The subscriber benefits only when that durability supports reliable access or better continuation terms after transfer. Ownership of residual life remains with the provider. This arrangement more readily fits a short holding need when the provider can redeploy equipment efficiently and the user retains practical access to compatible services at manageable cost. Thin alternatives change that result at renewal. When only one service can sustain the fitted workflow, renewal terms are negotiated after dependency has formed. Subscription is not upkeep removed. It is upkeep bundled with access over time. Its advantage depends on provider capacity, and its weakness appears when exit becomes costly. Stewardship separates individual use from collective ownership across members. A body acting for members holds the machine, organizes maintenance, and preserves service across users. Member dues can turn irregular repair needs into a shared reserve during breakdowns. One breakdown then draws on pooled capacity instead of one farm's resources alone. Retirement becomes collective across members too. That can protect shared resources from a single user's short horizon, while adding coordination before a replacement can proceed. The common harvest window raises the stakes because delayed maintenance affects every member during the same critical period. Scheduling and reserve adequacy become shared operational constraints. Stewardship trades concentrated risk and vendor dependence for coordination exposure. Members hold the machine collectively, but timely action depends on organized collective capacity. Collective holding can strengthen bargaining with outside servicers over time. The stewardship body represents repeated demand and can preserve more than one service relationship. That advantage is conditional on organization before harvest. The trust must maintain reserves, specialist access, clear scheduling, and enough member participation to act when needed. If participation weakens or reserves remain inadequate during failure, collective ownership changes the decision maker, but does not produce the missing maintenance resources. Deferred upkeep can follow even under shared purpose over time. Pooling spreads contributions, but the total still must cover real parts, labor, downtime, and replacement capacity. In practice, pooling risk is not the same as funding it. Stewardship works only when shared contributions and decision rules match the machine's actual upkeep burden. Stewardship can capture durability because the body holds the machine across successive members and seasons. Extra service years remain inside the shared arrangement. That longer horizon may support stronger construction and deeper maintenance over time. It can also preserve an aging machine when collective replacement moves slowly. Ownership captures durability when the holder keeps the machine long enough or transfers remaining service through a functioning resale path to a later user. Subscription captures durability when the provider keeps ownership and redeploys the asset across subscribers. The benefit may lower provider replacement needs across users. Durability follows whoever controls residual service life over time. The arrangement matters because it determines whether the funder can use, redeploy, or transfer those later years. Under constraints, there is no universal winner. Change the holding period, service market, switching cost, or governance capacity, and the comparison changes. Ownership fits more readily when the holding period is long, repair capability is accessible, and remaining value can be used or transferred by the holder. Subscription fits more readily when use is brief. Equipment changes quickly, providers can redeploy assets, and users retain practical access to compatible services nearby. Stewardship fits more readily when disciplined users share a long-lived asset. Servicing alternatives are thin, and collective governance can fund and schedule upkeep credibly. In practice, alter one condition and the ranking can reverse. Fast change weakens long ownership, costly exit weakens subscription. Weak coordination weakens stewardship. The structures also distribute exposure differently inside the group during operation. A decision can preserve total capability while placing its weakest point on one party. The owner bears interrupted use and underfunded repair directly during failure. Control is immediate, but the same holder must absorb the consequences of inadequate reserves. The subscriber bears continuation and switching exposure after adaptation. Servicing may be dependable, yet the user's fitted workflow makes future access terms economically important. Stewardship members bear coordination and collective delay exposure during renewal. Shared reserves can be strong while replacement still waits for legitimate agreement and organized action. The useful choice places exposure with the party best positioned to manage it, while preserving an alternative in advance when that party cannot perform. For the cooperative, under these conditions, ownership suits long holding with repair access, subscription suits brief use with practical switching, and stewardship suits credible shared maintenance. None removes the bill for continuation. Each assigns funding, authority, and failure risk differently, then succeeds only while its supporting conditions remain intact. To test any structure, begin with funding. Identify who supplies the asset, who maintains reserve capacity, and who pays when routine upkeep becomes exceptional. Then locate retirement authority. Ask who can replace an aging system, whose resources are required, and which users bear delay while that decision forms. Next, locate the switching point. Find when users become adapted to one provider, one workshop, or one collective process, and preserve alternatives beforehand. Finally, trace durability value. Determine who still holds the machine when extra service arrives, or who can transfer those years to another user. The full answer is conditional. Ownership accepts upkeep concentration, subscription accepts switching exposure, and stewardship accepts slower coordination. Every structure chooses a vulnerability. Now stress the assumptions: shorten holding, thin the service market, weaken reserves, or slow collective decisions, and observe which arrangement fails first. Do not ask which structure is best in isolation. Ask which failure is acceptable, who bears it, and what fallback limits its consequence. Ownership structures are upkeep maps. They show where money, authority, dependency, and delayed value accumulate before the machine's weakest institutional point appears. Choose the exposure that surrounding institutions can actually manage, because upkeep is relocated, never erased. The future is just incentives at scale. See you tomorrow.